Maria was 7 years old when she burst through the doors of the broken chain bar in El Paso, bare feet bleeding, screaming words that made every biker freeze. "The cartel took my brother. They're going to kill him." 23 Hells Angels turned as the tiny girl collapsed in the doorway, her small body shaking with terror. David "Ghost" Ramirez, the chapter president, knelt beside her.
"What is your name?"
she whispered, clutching his leather vest. "They took Miguel. He's only 12. They said if we don't pay $10,000 by tomorrow, they'll send him back in pieces." Ghost's jaw clenched. Every man there knew what cartels did to kids. "Where are your parents?" Tank asked, his voice surprisingly soft for a 6'5" mountain of muscle. Fresh tears streaked Maria's face. "They killed Papa 2 days ago when he couldn't pay protection money. Mama doesn't know I came here. She said nobody can help us. But I saw you yesterday helping that old man when those gang boys were beating him." Ghost stood slowly. "How long ago did they take your brother?" 3 hours. 4 men with guns came to our apartment. They said Papa owed them money. When Mama said we don't have it, they grabbed Miguel. He tried to fight, but they hit him with a gun. He was bleeding when they put him in the black truck." "What kind of truck?" Razor asked, already pulling out his phone. "Black, big, had a skeleton with a hat on the back window." The bikers exchanged looks. Los Muertos, a smaller cartel operating out of Juarez, brutal even by cartel standards, specializing in kidnapping and extortion. "Listen to me, Maria," Ghost said. "We're going to get your brother back. Snake, take her to the back room. Get her some food and clean up her feet." He turned to his brothers. "Church, now. If you believe bikers are the good people who protect innocent children, click like and subscribe to hear more stories like this one." The meeting was short. Every man in that room had children, brothers, sisters. They'd all come from somewhere, and most knew what it was like to be powerless. That's why they'd become Hell's Angels. Not for the crime or violence outsiders assumed, but for the Brotherhood. For the code. Rule number 1. You don't hurt kids. This could start a war, Tank pointed out. "Let it," Ghost replied. Los Muertos made their choice when they took that boy. Within an hour, they had intel. The black truck was spotted at a warehouse on the outskirts of Juarez, a known Los Muertos safe house. Cruz's cousin, who ran a garage on the Mexican side, could get them across the border without questions. While Cruz arranged transportation, Ghost checked on Maria. She was in the back room, her feet bandaged, eating a sandwich like she hadn't seen food in days. Snake sat nearby, his massive tattooed arms crossed, watching over her like a protective bear. "Tell me about your brother," Ghost said, sitting down across from her. Maria's face lit up despite everything. "Miguel is really smart. He wants to be a doctor. He studies all the time, even when the lights get cut off. He uses candles. Papa used to say Miguel had a gift, that he could be something special if he just got the chance."
"He protects you?" Ghost asked.
"Always. When the neighborhood boys tried to steal my backpack last year, Miguel fought 3 of them even though they were bigger. He came home with a black eye, but I still had my backpack." She smiled through her tears. "When Papa died, Miguel told Mama he's the man of the house now. He's only 12, but he works after school at the bodega, gives Mama every dollar. He never complains, never says it's not fair. He just does what needs to be done." Ghost felt something twist in his chest. 12 years old and forced to be a man because the world had broken his family. He'd been there himself once. Different circumstances, same story.
"Your brother sounds like a warrior," Ghost said quietly. "Something about this family tugged at him in a way he couldn't quite name. Or maybe he could, but didn't want to admit it yet."
"He is," Maria whispered. "That's why I came to you, because warriors help other warriors, right? That's what Papa always said. He said there are people in this world who stand up when everyone else runs away. I think you're one of those people." Ghost's expression flickered. "Your father said that?" "All the time. He used to be different," Mama said, "before we were born. He never talked about it, but sometimes he'd look at motorcycles going by and get this sad look in his eyes." Ghost looked at this tiny girl, 7 years old, who'd run through dangerous streets on bleeding feet to save her brother, who'd walked into a room full of bikers without knowing if they'd help or hurt her, who'd taken a chance because she had no other options and more courage than most grown men he'd known. "We're going to bring him home," Ghost said. "I promise you that." 18 Hells Angels crossed into Mexico in 3 vehicles, armed but smart about it. Ghost sat in the lead vehicle, his mind running through every scenario. The warehouse was exactly where their intel said. Ghost and his men parked a block away and approached on foot through shadows. The sun was setting, painting the Mexican sky blood red. "Remember," Ghost whispered to his brothers, "we're here for the boy. Everything else is secondary. But if they want to make this hard, we make it permanent." Tank and Diesel took out the front guards quietly. No gunshots to alert the others. Just 2 quick takedowns, brutal and efficient. The team moved through the fence, spreading out to cover all exits. Inside, they could hear voices speaking rapid Spanish. Laughter. The clink of beer bottles. Somewhere in that building, a 12-year-old boy was bleeding and terrified, while his captors laughed and drank. They breached hard and fast. The door exploded inward with a thunderous kick, and 18 Hells Angels poured into the warehouse like an avalanche. The Los Muertos members inside, 6 of them playing cards, barely had time to register what was happening. "Nobody move!" Ghost roared. "We're here for the boy. Give him to us and you might live through this night." But the cartel members were too stupid, or too proud. One of them, a skinny kid with teardrop tattoos, reached for his gun. It was the last mistake he ever made. The warehouse erupted into controlled chaos. The Hells Angels moved with practiced precision, taking down the cartel members one by one. These weren't street thugs. These were men who'd learned violence in prison yards, who'd survived things that would break most people. Each shot was measured, each movement calculated.
Ghost moved through the warehouse like his nickname. His mission singular. Find Miguel.
He found him in a back room, tied to a chair, blood crusted on his head. The boy was barely conscious. Standing over him was Carlos El Cuchillo Mendoza, a Los Muertos lieutenant known for his love of knives. "Step away from the boy," Ghost said, gun trained on Carlos's head. Carlos laughed. "You gringos think you can come into our territory and make demands? Let the boy go. Or what? You'll shoot me. My brothers will hunt you down. They'll find everyone you love," and Ghost shot him in the kneecap. Carlos screamed and fell. "That's for touching the boy," Ghost said calmly. He shot the other kneecap. "That's for his father." He moved closer. "And this is from his sister." The third shot was final. Ghost cut Miguel free, lifting him gently. "I've got you, kid. Your sister sent us. You're going home." Miguel's eyes focused briefly. "Maria? Is she okay?" "She's the bravest little girl I've ever met," Ghost said. "Just like her brother." They carried Miguel out, leaving behind 8 dead cartel members and a message spray painted on the wall. "Touch another child and we'll be back." But the story doesn't end there. We always stand with innocent children. If you believe bikers are the good people, click like and subscribe to show us your support. 3 days later, the Hells Angels got word that Los Muertos was planning retaliation against Maria's family. "They're going to make an example of them," Razor reported. "Show the neighborhood what happens when you involve outsiders." Ghost stood up so fast his chair flew backward. "Over my dead body." That night, every Hells Angels chapter within 500 miles got a call. By dawn, 200 bikers had assembled in El Paso. Brothers answering the call. The next morning, 200 Hells Angels crossed into Juarez in broad daylight. They rode their bikes openly, the thunder of their engines shaking windows. They wore their colors proudly, a rolling wave of leather and steel that said, "We're here, and we're not backing down." They rode straight to the Los Muertos compound in one of Juarez's roughest neighborhoods. High walls topped with razor wire. Guard towers on each corner. Ghost stopped at the gates, engines rumbling behind him like thunder that wouldn't end. El Jefe, the leader of Los Muertos, came out personally. A thin man, younger than Ghost expected, with dead eyes. He wore expensive clothes, gold chains, and diamond rings. Blood money turned into jewelry. "You've made a mistake coming here," El Jefe said, trying to sound confident. But Ghost heard the tremor underneath. "This is our territory." Ghost removed his helmet slowly, making sure El Jefe could see his face clearly. "Your territory ends where children begin. You took a boy. You threatened a family under our protection. That ends today. You killed 8 of my men. Should have been more." Ghost replied flatly. Leave the family alone. Leave all families alone. Stop kidnapping children. Or we come back, and next time, we burn this whole compound to the ground. El Jefe laughed nervously. He could count. 200 bikers, all armed, all willing to die for their code. His compound had maybe 30 men. You think you're heroes? El Jefe spit. You're just another gang. Maybe, Ghost said, voice cold as death. But we're a gang that doesn't hurt kids. We're a gang that keeps its word. Can you say the same? The silence stretched between them. Behind Ghost, 200 engines idled, waiting. The message was clear.
Finally, El Jefe nodded. The family is off limits.
All families, Ghost corrected. You want to deal drugs, run guns, fight other cartels? That's your business. But the moment you touch another child, we come back. And next time, we don't knock.
Ghost put his helmet back on and raised his fist. 200 bikers revved their engines in unison, a sound like the earth cracking open. Then they turned and rode away.
That afternoon, Ghost visited Maria and Miguel's mother, Rosa. She was a small woman, aged beyond her years, but her eyes were fierce. You're the ones who saved my son, she said. Your daughter saved him, Ghost corrected. She was brave enough to ask for help. Rosa started crying. I don't know how to thank you. I don't have money. We don't want money, Ghost interrupted gently. But we do want to offer you something. A job. The club owns a restaurant on this side of the border. We need a manager. It pays well, has health insurance, and nobody will ever bother you there. Rosa's eyes widened. But I'm nobody special. You're raising two of the bravest kids I've ever met, Ghost said. That makes you special. That's how Rosa became manager of the Broken Chain Grill, a position she still holds today. The restaurant became a sanctuary in the neighborhood, a place where families could eat without fear, where kids could do homework in back rooms, where everyone knew they were under protection. The Los Muertos cartel still operates in Juarez, but they never kidnapped another child. Word spread. Touch a kid in Hell's Angels territory, and you'll have 200 bikes at your door. But for Maria and Miguel's neighborhood, the Hell's Angels became protectors, guardian angels in leather. Tank started teaching self-defense classes to kids. Razor set up a computer lab in the community center. The scary bikers became the men who walked kids home from school, who kept dealers away from playgrounds. Years passed. Miguel recovered fully and graduated from medical school. Dr. Miguel Ramirez now works at a free clinic in El Paso, giving back to the community that saved him. Maria became a prosecutor specializing in cases against cartels who hurt children. Rosa finally owns her own home. At Miguel's graduation, Ghost sat in the front row, older now, his beard more gray than black. After the ceremony, Miguel pulled him aside. I need to tell you something, Miguel said quietly. Something I've never told anyone. Not even Maria. Ghost's eyes narrowed. What is it, kid? That day in the warehouse when I was tied to that chair, I heard Carlos talking on the phone before you got there. He was arguing with someone. He said, I don't care if his father used to run with you. The debt is owed. Then he said a name. Your name. David Ramirez. Ghost went completely still. Papa's real name wasn't Martinez, Miguel continued. It was Ramirez. He changed it when he left the Hell's Angels 15 years ago. He never told us, but I found papers after he died. You knew him, didn't you? That's why Maria running into your bar wasn't random. That's why you came for us. Ghost's jaw tightened. For a long moment he said nothing. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough. Your father was my younger brother. He left the club to start a family, wanted a clean life for his kids. I respected his choice even though it hurt like hell to lose him.
He looked away, something breaking in his eyes. When I heard Los Muertos killed him, I was already planning to move against them. Then Maria showed up, and I saw him in her face. That same stubborn courage he had when we were kids. I knew right then. I had to save you both. Not just for him, Because you were family. Because I'd already failed to protect him. And I'd be damned if I failed to protect his children. Miguel's eyes filled with tears. You never told us.
Your father wanted you to have a life outside the club, Ghost said. I respected that. But when you needed protection, when you needed someone to stand up for you, I made sure his brother was there. That's what family does. Miguel embraced Ghost, this man who'd been his uncle all along, who'd hidden the truth to honor a dead man's wishes while still protecting his blood. Does Maria know? Miguel asked. Not yet, but she will, when she's ready. The boy who was once tied to a chair now saves lives every day. The little girl who ran barefoot into a biker bar is preparing to put away the monsters who prey on the innocent. And their uncle, the hardened biker who'd lost his brother but refused to lose his brother's children, still watches over them. Because sometimes, the people society fears most are the ones who'll die protecting family. Like and subscribe if you believe bikers are good people.